It was Texas, it was Tennessee. It was what I had committed me.
Alrighty. Welcome in, everybody, to the Texas to Tennessee podcast. We are thrilled tonight to have TJ Wicks on the show. So, welcome, TJ.
Welcome, guys. Thank y'all for having me on today.
Yeah,
Man,
no problem.
our pleasure. We've been looking forward to this. I think maybe for the benefit of our viewers, would you mind just taking 90 seconds, couple minutes, and tell us a little bit about your backstory?
Yeah, absolutely, man. I grew up in southwest Oklahoma in a little town called Chickasha, which is on I-40 in between Lawton and Oklahoma City. And picked up the guitar around the time I turned 14. Then the songwriting kind of fell in right after that. And, man, I've been pretty much full-time doing this since about 2019, 2020. So, coming up on half a decade on that, and I can't believe it. Time flies when you're having fun. But, I lived in Austin for a while. I lived in there for about 7 years, and then moved to Tahlequah a year or two ago, and that's been Tahlequah, Oklahoma. So I'm back in Okie and an hour from Tulsa, so it's kind of a good area to be in. You know what I mean? So
You bet.
And I kind of specialize in what I call the Western swing and rhythm and blues. It's kind of a little bit of red dirt, a little Western swing, a little blues, more rock and roll mixed up in this big old gumbo. So it's kind
Very
of
cool.
kind of what I do and where I'm from, and
Yes.
I can do it in 90 seconds.
Well, that was great. Tell us a little bit about Chickasha, if you don't mind. So I can tell you a couple things, but we'll play that game after you tell us about Chickasha.
Yeah, I grew up in Chickasha, which is, I think it's 16,000. I mean, it's a mid-sized town, but one thing that made it feel a lot smaller was, we didn't really have any bars or clubs or any bands growing up. So it was a lot of back porch and tailgate picking, Now you can go downtown Chickasha and there's 3 or 4 bands playing, which kind of cracks me up,
Yeah.
All the red dirt artists were like, I've never played a gig in Chickasha, like how did you
Right. They
come
stop
from
at Grady's, right?
Yeah, they stop at Grady's in Yukon.
Yep.
And but yeah, it was kind of like your typical oil patch town. It was like I explained my living. It's like we kind of knew the price of gas and the price of cattle just by how everybody was either smiling or frowning.
Right.
We kind of lived and died by that. So.
Yeah.
But-
Very cool. Well, Soul Gravy, we'll play a little trivia with you here.
Uh-oh.
I want you to name one person from Chickasha. One famous
TJ?
person.
TJ
No.
Wicks. Oh,
Well, there you go. Yes. All right. Good job. I'm going to give you a
Snuck in
list.
there.
It did. Well done. I'm going to give you a list of some interesting folks that are from Chickasha.
Okay,
I feel like this should be a regular part of, identifying where folks are from and
especially
maybe people.
small town life. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Robert Streb, who's a PGA golfer, a really good one, is on the tour now. Jacoby Jones used to play for the Angels.
Okay.
Yep.
Don McNeil. This is a little tougher one. So Don McNeil actually won the U.S. Open and French Open in tennis.
Okay.
Yeah, kind of cool.
I was just about to name him.
Yeah, I thought you were. And then also maybe the most famous person I think from Chickasha is Merle Kilgore.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So
Actually,
yeah, little.
I've got a bonus one for you.
Okay, cool.
Cleavon Little. The guy that played opposite Mel Brooks in Blazing Saddles.
Oh, I didn't
He's
know
from-
that. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
he's from Chickasha.
Nice. Oh,
And-
can we do the lines real quick?
No.
The Blazing Saddles lines.
No.
That'd be fun.
No, we can't.
I
Not
love
if we
that
want
Doug
the
Moreland
episode to-
did.
Not if we
Doug
want
Moreland-
the episode to stay up, we won't be able to.
Right. That's probably a good idea.
Doug Moreland did the score to that on his last album. He did the theme song.
Oh, okay. All right. Did not
Who
know
did
that.
that?
So I just thought, I was like, I've got to throw Doug in there somehow. you know.
Absolutely. That's great. Thank you for sharing that.
But
Who-
This
and
is
then
a-
also,
I'm sorry. Who put it on his
also,
album? I missed it.
Doug Moreland put the Blazing
Oh, okay.
Saddles intro on his
I
album.
got you.
phenomenal.
So-
That's cool. Yeah.
So, but
Yeah.
that's Cleavon Littles from Chickasha.
I will add him to the list that I had. All
And
right.
then-
So one other part for Soul Gravy here.
Uh-oh.
There's a famous. This is, I think probably the county seat of this pretty well-known county in Oklahoma. But if I were to ask you to name one county in Oklahoma, what county do you think it is?
The Chickasha is in?
Yeah, Chickasha.
Um,
Think Turnpike.
can I go down the list?
Think bird hunters.
Jeez.
We like to play these.
I know.
Dumb games. It's Cherokee County.
Well,
That's
yeah.
actually what came to mind first, but I thought that would just be a stupid guess. I don't even know why that it didn't come to mind first because of Turnpike though.
Right.
It just did
So-
just because it's Oklahoma.
I'll make a slight correction. I live in
Okay.
Tahlequah, which is the seat of Cherokee County.
Okay.
Chickasha's in Grady County. But
Grady County. Okay, that's right.
So why do they call it the seat? What is?
The county seat. So the
I don't
head
know.
county seat. Each county has a town where business is kind of done, where the governmental business is done. That's the county seat.
Okay.
So if you need to go get,
No, I got you.
yeah, okay, yep.
I didn't know that's what that was called.
It is. It's the county seat.
Okay. then.
Well, and then we actually so we had Lance on. I feel like we had somebody else from Tahlequah on.
Well, we talked about RC,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and
I ran
Justin
into him at
Perkins is
dinner
not
tonight.
far.
Yeah.
It's a true story. Like I bumped into him at Kroner when I was getting dinner.
Yeah.
Nice.
Justin Perkins is not far from there, I don't think, right?
That's right. Yeah. Okay. All right. So, well, that helps us with the geography. So I appreciate you taking time to hold our hands through that. A lot of folks on social media like to play the game. Hey, if you like these people, you might like me. Who would be those people for you that, if somebody's listening to this, maybe an artist that might be a little bit more well-known that you would go, hey, yeah, you might like my stuff.
Well, I think. Do you guys know the Dylan? What's his name?
Carmichael?
And then
No, I don't know.
no. Why am I blanking on the names? They are the country music historians that go on live together all the time.
Oh,
Oh,
Dylan
yeah,
We were
Weldon?
there live the other night. Yeah. So he said that I sound like, and so I'm just using somebody else's thing.
Sure.
Billy Joe Schaefer came to mind to some people. I'm really heavily inspired by obviously the Red Dirt guys. So if you like Cross Canadian Ragweed, if you like Boland, if you like Turnpike,
Yeah.
we're also big Bob Wills nuts. So we get into that catalog a little bit. I think the best way I could explain my music is basically my journey is a Red Dirt kid got shoved in Austin for a little bit too long, and then they pulled him up and put him in Turnpike Town. It's kind
Gotcha.
of
Yeah, that makes sense.
So just a bunch of the best of Okie and Texas music with some Jimi Hendrix flair in there.
Yeah, that's cool.
So-
That's cool. We like to ask this question, or at least I do. Soul just puts up with me. This is called the pie question. So I'm going to give you, TJ, I'm going to give you a pie, and I want you to divide it into kind of 4 sections.
Okay.
And those 4 sections include songwriting, recording,
Okay.
performing, and then the business. So I guess what I would like you to do is tell me kind of which of those areas maybe are you most comfortable in, and where do you end up usually spending most of your time?
I'm gonna say probably the songwriting and performing side of things are where I'm most comfortable.
Yeah.
if you guys haven't ever seen one of our shows, we try to be fans first. Um, I was actually listening to a podcast of, um, well, actually an interview made into a podcast of the Texas Playboys, and they always said that our stage is not a stage because a stage means you're looking at us. Our stage is a bandstand, meaning we look at the crowd and they tell us what to do. And so, as a performer, me and Micah and Philip, like, we're trying to give every ounce of everything we have for those people, whether it be a 30-minute opening set or we're at a dive bar for 3 hours. It doesn't matter. We're going to try to make sure everybody has the time of their life. And it's been awesome, man. But just focusing on being the fans first entertainer, which I think is kind of a lost art these days.
Yeah, it can be for sure.
And so, but the songwriting thing, I go in spells where, like, I'm kind of in a spell right now. I've written probably 15 songs in the last 2 months, whereas I think there was a 6-month period of time where I didn't write one. So it just kind of, the performing is always there, because we're playing 2 to 4 times a week. But the songwriting thing comes in and out. And, it's kind of would be my 2 slices. I know you asked for one, but I've got.
No, that's okay. Well, I guess, just to follow up on that, what things are you doing maybe to expand your knowledge of the recording piece? And I know that takes repetition, but also in terms of the other parts, the business of running your own individual small business.
I think especially the small business part, I'll go on that because I'm truly independent. I don't have a booking label. I don't have, a song plugger. I don't even have a publisher. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like
You're doing it all.
It is TJ and sometimes Micah and sometimes the wife. You know what I mean? When it comes to the business.
Right.
But what we've been focusing on is production and organization. That's been our thing for the last 3 months.
Okay.
Is itemizing what we need, itemizing what we have, and getting ready for the LLC because, luckily the Lord's blessed us with a little bit more cash from the gigs, but now we got to make sure that Uncle Sam gets his piece. So trying to get everything put together and being more organized and more efficient, that's kind of what I'm trying to work on now, just getting us ready for 2025 and beyond.
Yeah, and that makes sense. Do you have anybody that you, on the business side, I know you said you're doing it all yourself, but do you have anybody that you can go to like bounce ideas off of, or maybe another performer that's kind of been down this road a little bit, or any kind of community like that?
Yeah, I don't know what it is about my life and music, but I always tend to, like, make friends with the older guys. You know what I mean? Like,
Sure.
I mean, I've got friends of my own age in this business, but I've also got guys that have been there and done that in my phone. And it's like I call them every once in a while when I have a little bit of a nudge, and it's like, I think that's one thing that I tell all my, because I'm starting to mentor artists, as weird as that is, starting to mentor other artists, and I'm
That's
like,
great.
man, the best thing is to find the old guy in the corner that can outplay and outsing you, and then ask him how you can get that good, because that's just what I've done my entire career, and it's opened up so many doors. Maybe not them like, oh, come up on stage and play with me, but maybe like, I was talking to an artist a couple of weeks ago, and he was like, well, when we were on this tour, we did this, and that saved me 6 months of work of trying to figure something out when I can just make a phone call and they're like, yeah, just do this, that, and that, especially on the recording side.
Yep.
Like, I call up producer friends all the time and be like, how do I fix this problem? And they're like, yeah, take the mouse and scoot it over this way and it'll sound a lot better.
That's, man, it's easy to go, in this independent music scene to go, well, it's independent and you can really be a lone wolf, but there's something to be said for having a little bit of a community there to help you when you get in a little bit of a pickle, and it's working smarter, not harder.
Exactly. I think we get competitive, and trust me, when I was living in Austin, I thought I was the hottest thing since sliced bread. Nobody could touch me, And now that I'm, 27, married with a kid on the way, I I got to sit in a picker circle about 2 years ago with some guys that I really respected, and I was really nervous and shaking, and this legend in Texas songwriting just tapped me on my shoulder and said, "Hey, we want to hear you too. Everybody's got a voice. Remember that." And it was
Right.
like a big eye opener. It's like, oh yeah, I can be this lone wolf all I want, but like, you can compare me, Dakota Marullo, Blaine Bailey, Lance Rourke, and I'm just naming these names as contemporaries.
Right.
Um, Lance is a little bit further up the totem pole than I am, but but at the same time, it's like we all do things better than the next guy. It's
Right.
like I can't write like Zach Bryan, but I can write like TJ Wicks, and that's the beautiful part of our business is I get to hear so many different people's interpretations of life, of songs, of musical style, all of that.
Cool.
Let's go back. I know this is kind of a generic question, but I want to ask it anyway. What was music in your house growing up?
Man, I actually like. I'll say this. I've been saying this for a while. Uh, my dad was an '80s hair metal guy that hated Nirvana, and that's why I'm a country artist.
All right.
And that's because I grew up on the great '90s country that we're all falling in love with. A lot of people are falling in love with now because of Zach Top and
Sure.
the legacy artists. But yeah, I grew up on Garth Brooks and Night Ranger and Poison and Van Halen, and then my mother, who's staunchly religious, she was listening to Caleb and Jimmy Buffett. So it was kind of like this kind of
Yeah.
cool cacophony of good music. And my dad was also played saxophone in the show band at the local college. So I got a lot of doses of, of course, this Bob Wills thing comes from with us, but it's also Brian Setzer and, the Blues Brothers and those big.
That's a name you don't
people.
hear that often. The Brian Setzer. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, I
Yeah.
love Brian Setzer.
Me
Yeah,
too,
great.
man. Every Christmas I find those Brian Setzer orchestra Christmas tunes. I mean, if you're gonna listen to Christmas music, at least it's a little bit right of center and entertaining. You know what I mean? So, I grew up a huge Stray Cats fan. So,
dude, I love Brian Setzer. Love his playing. But if you're talking about like Christmas albums, the one that I throw on every Christmas is the Brad Paisley Christmas album because
There you go. Yeah.
yeah.
Good
Yeah.
stuff.
The requirement at my house growing up with my grandparents was always the Elvis Christmas album. The one that started off as a Christmas album and ended as a gospel album.
Yep.
Yeah.
Don't really know why it transitioned from Christmas to straight gospel, but it did, and that's okay. That's okay. It didn't even seem wrong when I was, it's yeah,
It's the reason for the season.
exactly.
Yes, exactly.
Santa Claus is coming back to town, and then Peace in the Valley right next.
Right.
But whatever. He's a king. He can do what he wants to. So
Thanks, Colonel.
yeah. Thanks, Tom Hanks. All right. So what about we know TJ and the music and everything, but what are some things that you like to do outside of music? What's some hobbies?
Well, usually when my TV
Legal.
don't suck up. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
If you asked me, 5 years ago, that might have been 50-50, but, I like to play golf and watch the Sooners win, which we haven't been winning much this year. So,
Tough year. It's been a tough year. Yeah.
And, and my Colts are not doing too hot either. So it's been a rough, but I'm a big sports fan. Actually, my brother is the sports director at the Lawton TV station. So,
Oh, cool.
me and him, my parents say all the time, it's like when we were driving somewhere, it'd be ESPN, and we would just like throw stats at each other and stuff like that. And so, but yeah, I'm a big sports fan.
Are you guys close to the same age, or?
Yeah, he's like 3 years younger than me.
Okay,
So,
cool.
we grew up together. So,
Nice.
yeah.
Yeah, it's been a tough year. I have to live down here with all these Texas fans, and I mean they're fine, but they're kind of unbearable when they're winning, to be honest. So,
Well, you know.
Especially when the Cowboys aren't. So you got to pick something to cheer for.
yeah, it's like on. I don't even know how to explain. Well, the Cowboy thing is almost comical at this point, but
Pretty bad.
we'll save that for our other sports podcast.
Okay.
I guess I'm curious about. Do you have a specific process when it comes to writing songs? Are you a melody first guy, or lyrics first, or just kind of how it comes?
Well, I got told by a big time songwriter back in the day. He was like, just remember your first 1,000 songs don't count. So my early 20s, late teens, early 20s were trying to write as many songs as I could put on paper. And so used to it was a lyric first. And then I started going through guitar players a lot. And so I started learning the guitar, like staying up, 8 hours at a time till my fingers bleed, and just playing around to Stevie Ray Vaughan and Hendrix records. And then it became, the guitar thing. And now I'll hum something. So it kind of comes from all different. I've kind of learned how to do all three, which has been awesome because you never know when a song's going to hit you. I remember we were at dinner one time, and I got real quiet. And our dinner guests go, "What's wrong with TJ?" And she was like, "He's about to write a song." Like she just knows.
He knows
she
that
just
look.
knows, like,
Yeah.
in the songwriting trance, and she's like, "Oh crap, I just lost him for the night."
So are you, TJ, are you one of the folks that will take their phone and you have an idea and just clip it in, or do you like to dedicate and sit down and go, all right, we're writing songs now?
It depends on what's going on in life. Like I fully expect to come out with a decent bit of songs because I am finishing packing tonight and heading to Big Bend for a couple days. And usually when I go down there, and hang around my friends down there, there's a few that pop out just because it's,
Inspired.
it's like desert Disneyland. You know what I mean?
Right,
You're walking around and walking the most beautiful scenery in Texas, in my opinion. And
Yep, it is.
you're just like, it comes, but also just like, I mean, it just depends, you know what I mean? But yeah, I think the inspiration hits me, and then I'll either stick a pin in it and come back to it, or I'll finish it if I've got the time.
Makes sense. So I know you have, I think I saw on one of your social feeds that you've got a couple shows in Terlingua.
Yeah.
Nice.
I go down there.
That makes it
try to go
worthwhile.
there once a quarter. I usually
Okay.
stay away from the summer. But I go down there a few times.
I understand. So Soul probably remembers, but remember I always asked the question about Sonic Ranch?
Uh-huh.
That's where he's headed, or kind of in that direction, or very close to there. And it's also home of the Terlingua Chili Fest, the world's largest chili fest. So
Gotcha.
cool, fun place.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Oh, okay. I guess I want to know, I asked this actually, had a podcast last night and I asked it and I hadn't ever asked it and I thought, I probably should ask it again to see if it does any better. Your first gig in public, what was that like for you?
I'm going to pick up this name that I'm about to drop because it's kind of an embarrassing story, but I used to sing in church and I played for my family, and I started to write songs and learn songs, and was like, I'm going to go to this open mic. You know, no harm, no foul. And it was in Norman, Oklahoma. A place called Hollywood Corners. And I get up there, and this is the first time playing with a band, too. And this should have been my first clue, but the drum set said Easy Money Band on it. And I was like, oh, that's a cool name for a band. And we come up, and I do a bad version of, you know, I think it was 17 by Ragweed, which if Cody heard it, he would have been, you know. And then I played Skinner, which puts the shame on Skinner. And then my last song should have been a cowboy.
There you go.
Forgot 3 lines. Sound like a dying cat. And I get off stage, and the guitar player goes, man, son, you got a lot of guts. And I was like, okay. He goes, that's probably the worst version of that man's song he's ever heard. And sure enough, with his hat, like, in the back of the audience was Toby Keith.
Oh. Wow, man.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
It was the best cure for stage fright ever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it doesn't get worse than that.
No. Yeah.
It's all uphill from there.
So Toby lived pretty close, like on the outer edge of Norman, right? I think.
Norman, yeah. It
yeah.
was his backyard bar. Like, he built it so that him and his buddies could go hang out and have a beer.
I know where. Yeah, I know exactly where it is. Yeah, that's wild.
So it was just kind of like, Toby was a great sport about it, but and I didn't tell that till he passed because I know how name dropping is in this industry, and I didn't want it to be like a,
Yeah.
you know, oh cool, I know Toby Keith, I'm this guy, you know, it comes across that way to some people, but it's just like, but it's a true story, and one that my mom loved my mom to death. This around the same time, she goes, honey, I think you should just stick to guitar. You're singing.
Thanks, Mom.
Thanks, Mom. Anytime I do anything big in my career, she's like, hey, I was wrong. You know?
That's great.
It was great.
Well, speaking of songs, I think we're at the halftime mark. Would you like to tell us a little bit about the song that Soul Gravy's about ready to drop on us?
Yeah, it's Storm. One of my favorites. So I used to work at this ranch in just outside of Chickasha, and I would always start our seasons around tornado season. So we would sit and watch these big cloud formations get real angry, you know. And Rich Trotter's the rancher's name. And he would say, all right, boys, where's your $20? So we'd all put $20 in a hat, you know what I mean? And we would bet on how strong the tornado would be and where it would hit. And I never won. And Rich was right to almost the block. He'd be like, yeah, that's an F3 heading straight towards Norman, and it'll straight across the back of the airport.
Amazing.
Yeah. So
that's wild. It's like a bigger version of Chicken Shit Bingo.
Exactly. It's tornado bingo. You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
that's wild.
I was sitting on my dock at my parents and watched this big storm cloud with the angry clouds roll in, and froze up, and all the people around me got real quiet, and you know, just took the guitar, and 3 chords later, and it was there. You know, I wrote that probably in 5 minutes. So.
Fantastic. I'm gonna hit the microphone blocker on this so we can get a good listen on this. You might want to do the same, TJ.
Yeah, I got you.
Here we go.
Looking at the clouds above, it don't look good, son. I've seen clouds like this before. Nothing This here, this curse made it rain. So when that sky starts to fall, Lord have mercy on us all. The storm's rolling in. You hear that old whispering wind. It's coming to take away all our sin. The storm's rolling in. The storm's rolling in. You can hear that old whispering wind. It's coming to take away a 5%. The storm's rolling
So I
was fun.
could definitely hear the Billy Joe in several things that you did vocally. I could definitely hear the Billy Joe Schaefer comparison. I'd listened to that song and a few others beforehand anyway, but I didn't catch it until you mentioned it. So yeah,
Which is funny because, you know, I just discovered Billy Joe Schaefer probably the last 2 years.
really.
You know
Oh,
what I
nice.
mean? And I mean his some of his Schaefer stuff with his son, like
Yeah,
amazing.
I was like,
Yep.
you
Yep.
know,
Yeah, that's pretty crazy because that song, was that song already recorded or when you found Billy Joe's music?
no, that was recorded in, you know, this.
Oh, that's
earlier
right.
in the
That's right. It
spring.
was right. That's right. Sorry
But
about that.
but yeah, I mean, I think that's just the Billy Joe thing. I mean, I welcome the comparison, you know, but it's like I
Yeah.
also feel like there's a lot of other things in that stew that you just have to listen to, and then people will point it out. You know, it's like part of our show, like, you know, I imitate voices, you know, a lot, like Merle Haggard used to do on the TV shows and stuff.
Right.
And it's funny how those guys start to slip into your singing voice if you're not careful, you know. So,
Definitely. Yeah, definitely.
But
Yeah. So just as a random question, what would be your favorite Billy Joe song then?
man, honestly, probably Black Rose. Like
Okay.
Yeah.
just because I mean I love Waylon's version, I love his version.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a great
You
one.
know what I did last night is hilarious.
Yeah.
Like
That's a
especially
great
his
one.
live version where he stretches it out and tries to be Cowboy Troy and Waylon. You know, it's like okay. You know, George on a Fast Train, like Wacko from
Yeah.
Waco, like you know, he's got a million of them. Like how do I?
Yeah. People
choose
don't
one,
realize.
Yeah.
No.
No. I think he's. I know he's not underrated in some circles, but I think he's. I think overall he's underrated for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well,
So I just
when
had
you
to
get
ask.
when you're in a trial and your character witnesses are Billy Bob Thornton and Willie Nelson, I think you're doing pretty good in life.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a whole
Definitely.
other story.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, as of so far in your music career, um, what are some of the things that you've been able to do that just you personally that you're most proud of so far, no matter how big
Man,
or small.
that's kind of. I'll give you two
Okay.
because happened at the same venue. Probably last Friday, we've been open at this venue called Legends in Chickasha. It's, you know, most of you red dirt guys, pass through there, and the headliner had to back out, so we became the headliner that night, and we encored in my hometown 3 times. I was
That's cool.
expecting them like, all right, we're cool, we're done. They're gonna do the house lights,
Yeah.
house music, and then the stage manager goes, "Oh, get back up there, kid. They're still wanting you." And I was like, "Okay." We did that 3 times, and that was kind of like, wow, like people actually care.
That's
They
great.
shouted
Yeah.
autographs and the whole bit. Um, and I would just say on the other side, it's like whenever I get to open for a hero or meet a hero, that's just I wouldn't do it if weren't I was in a backstage somewhere opening for him or be at the right place, right time. Like, so I'd say meeting the people I've gotten to meet. I've met most of my Red Dirt heroes, and that's been freaking cool. Most of them are, and especially like on the Red Dirt side, most of those guys are exactly who you think they are,
Yep.
which is kind of cool. Um, and then, like I said, encore in your hometown venue three
Yeah. That's
times with
Yeah.
a couple hundred people. That's cool. Like,
yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Uh,
So
yeah. Well, congratulations on that. I know that had to be a cool feeling. Um, well, I mean, I do like to ask, as far as so far on your journey, and you've found yourself opening for some folks that that you were a fan of. Who's some? I know I know you didn't want to name drop earlier, but now I'm asking you to name drop. Who are some folks that
it's fun.
who are some folks that you were like, holy shit, I'm in a room with besides Toby Keith.
Yeah,
I
that's pretty
mean,
good.
that was kind of surface level. I'll be honest about that. But man, my first opening slot was kind of a poop your pants moment because that was Cody Canada. As somebody who grew up
Yeah.
20, not too far from Yukon, and
Right.
was I was too young to go to the Wormy Dog, but I heard the radio announcements on the Twister every time they were there.
Right.
And was stealing bootlegs of them and Turnpike. You know what I mean? And that was being friends with some of those guys is pretty wild to me too. Met Boland, and he was very gracious to me, and that's because he's probably my favorite.
Mm.
Out of all those Red Dirt guys, and then you know calling Butch Hancock a friend is kind of weird. Like like I'm about to go, see him and Rory and hang out with him for a few days, and it's like, what, like, um, and I'm blessed, man. Like,
Yeah.
I believe the good Lord put me in this position, and I just, it's like, I've opened for Shane Smith, I've opened for, freaking Giovanni and the Hired Guns when they were still in a van and a borrowed trailer from Coetzel. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
it's
Well,
like
I asked that
crazy.
question because like you said, not necessarily to name drop, but because I mean you're a fan of these folks too, and and when you're coming up and it can be discouraging a lot of times. Probably have more discouraging moments than positive in a lot of cases. But so when you get in those situations where you find yourself in those rooms, you're like, it's just another one of those, a piece of the pie of Talbot's pie that shows you're doing something doing something right.
Well, and especially like when you hear, because we put out records every once in a while or singles, and then those guys come up to you and say, "Hey, I heard that, and it sounded good."
Yeah.
Like that, like, all right, throw the baby in the air. I'm done.
Right.
Drop the mic. I had a good career, and that's another thing too. It's like it's really easy to go, man. I don't have thousands of monthly listeners. I don't have, a million people on TikTok. But dude, I have a pretty good life. I make a living playing country music in some of the coolest bars and the coolest clubs in the country. Like,
Yeah, it's pretty good.
yeah, it's a pretty good life. If it gets better from here, great.
Yeah, absolutely.
But if I sit here and have my 2 residencies and I get to travel all over the southwest part of the country, like, dude, like, I'm a substitute teacher, more to see my wife because she works at the school too. But
Okay.
yeah,
Nice.
but it's like I could be teaching full time, or I could be doing
Yeah.
this, and
Lots
it's
of
like
things,
I look
right?
at my guys all the time. I'm like, how lucky are we?
Yeah.
All these people showed up to see us.
Yeah.
How
That's
crazy is that?
Well, do you have a question you want to ask there, Talbot?
I do. I have several.
Okay, good.
So, about what percentage of your shows right now are acoustic shows, and what percentage is full band shows?
Probably about 50-50.
Okay.
I try to keep it that way.
Yep.
Because it's great because I get to be more intimate in those acoustic venues, and that's cool. But I also like going on and playing Red Dirt Rockstar, So
Right.
I kind of like having the both,
Yeah.
So
I could see
And
that.
where are you in terms of your sets? Are you at a point where you're, playing half and half in terms of covers and originals, or is it venue specific, or are you just playing all originals, or?
it's crowd specific. I would go on that because like this weekend's a great example. We played 3 covers. In an hour and a half set, we played 3 covers.
Yeah, that's
Which
Yeah.
is great.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Then we got hired to do a private event where we played 4 originals.
right.
In an hour and a half
They
set,
just weren't familiar, right?
It's
Yeah,
just, you got to read your crowd. Luckily I've been writing for so long, I've got a catalog, which is cool because the next few months are just putting that catalog to tape so you guys can listen to it.
Yep.
And not just have to come to the show. But yeah, I say it's just crowd specific. Like reading the crowd. That's one thing that I pride myself on is. All right, these guys want covers. All right, let's go. Zach Talk, freaking 1, 2, 3, let's go.
right.
Bam, bam, bam,
Well, and I imagine too that just the repetition, you're going to get better. Like anything, you're going to get better at reading the crowd. So if you were reading the crowd in your first 5 gigs compared to where you are now, it's probably a little bit different experience, right?
And you know where I learned that from? Dale Watson. Watching Dale Watson at the Continental Club. Because that man's got
In Austin, yeah.
awesome catalog. But like if they're digging old Merle stuff, he'll dig into the Merle stuff, or he'll dig into
Right.
him trying to be Elvis, or like whatever that crowd wants that night. He's gonna tailor that, And I feel
Yep.
like that's something that, thanks Dale,
Yeah.
that goes in the treasure chest, takes in
For-
the tool belt.
For sure.
Not everybody has the band that can or will or whatever
Right.
that's willing to
Is
do
able,
that too.
right.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, a lot of that industry, and I'm not trying to pull back the curtain too much, but a lot of our guys are on clicks. They've got
Yeah.
their set. They've got everything ironed out, and there's nothing wrong with that because that's how you get that show for that artist. But like when you watch Haggard or Bob Wills or any other guy, Dale Watson, or,
Dale Watson,
whoever else, those guys don't know what a set list is.
Right.
They're just gonna go until the clock says, "Oh, I gotta go home." You
Right.
know, and we try to. It's a delicate balance on both of them. You know what I mean? Because you have to still be rehearsed, but it also helps that we're a trio, and two of my other guys have jazz degrees. That's what, you know, because then the musicianship is like, oh, I can take them in any direction.
Right.
But it's hard when we have a fill-in sometimes, and I'm just like, all right, we have this.
Right.
We have to stay in this.
Makes sense.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
Is it time to ask some of the random ones?
Yeah, I'm ready.
I've got a few different ones too. So
Yeah, fire away.
okay. I dug back into the old into some questions that I had saved in my phone.
Oh, nice.
What is a B-side song by somebody that should be a hit? What comes to mind when I say a B-side song that's not as popular as it should be?
that's a tough, because I listen mostly to the B-sides. It's hard to pick
Okay,
one.
well, just whatever pops in your mind first, in the artist.
Man, how freaking Bowen's last record didn't take off like it should have.
It was a little experimental.
It was experimental, but my God, those guys were moving.
Yeah, no, it was great,
was
but
just
not everybody's gonna like it.
There was yeah, I get that, but like there was still parts of that, like, you know, Proud Souls era stuff in that too.
Sure.
It was just kind of cool.
Yeah.
But that was kind of my thing. I'm like, how did our industry not just go, yeah, psychedelic red dirt? We've never heard that. Like, you know.
Well,
But I get it.
it took a while for him to come around the Sturgill too. So.
No, and I was one of the early adopters of Sturgill. I was
Right.
playing Sturgill songs before.
Well, I mean, when he started getting experimental, it took a little while for people to to accept it or whatever. Even if they didn't like it, they still just waited until what they liked by Sturgill came back around.
Well, and if
But
you think
still.
about it, it's also from a business standpoint, it is, the safe is not the safe play. So I don't care if you're a booking person or you're a radio person or you're manager, whatever point you are, there are a ton of artists that are putting out some super interesting stuff, but they don't necessarily fit into the traditional, whether it's traditional red dirt or Texas music, or at least in this scene. There's a ton of artists that are doing some experimental, really cool stuff, but it's not always loved, so it's the way it is.
It's also going back to who's your audience, and are you looking at the crowd? Same way you're doing on the show, you need to be doing with your socials.
Yeah.
Because I'll write a song that I think is great, and I'll put it out, and it'll get 5 views. And then I'll put something else up that I've farted out in 5 minutes and think, this is okay, I'll throw it out there. And that's the one that breaks.
And I think it also, TJ, it also depends on what your goals are as an artist, because there are some artists that, can get away with, Boland's far enough down the road that he can get away with putting out whatever he wants. Not everybody's in his situation,
Well, a lot of
we need
people
it to click.
A lot of people look at it as like an art thing too, and so if you're more on the art side of it, and you have to be stimulated and not necessarily worried about the performance or the
Right.
sales or whatever. Like it's I guess just whatever, as they say, whatever floats your goat. You know what I mean? I don't think there's a wrong answer to any of that. So. Long as it's the artist, whatever that is, as long as it's them and not
It's authentic.
Yep,
Right.
definitely. One of the other random oddball questions. I'm pretty sure this was a Go Red question, Talbot.
We missed her.
What would be your death row meal?
Ooh.
If this was your Green Mile, what would...
Prison questions next.
I'm
know.
a pretty simple dude, man. I'm thinking some sort of really thick steak that's cooked and
Solid.
seasoned very well. You know, there's a reason why the boys in Nashville say I'm a little tubby, because I love food. You know,
More me to love.
more me to love, yeah. But it's just that's just a joke for some people, but it's like, man, probably a steak.
Yeah,
You know,
no.
probably like, give me the cattleman steak from somewhere, and we'll go from there.
Good deal. All right, Talbot.
All right, well, this is the rapid fire section. If we hop in your vehicle, what are the first 3 songs that would pop up on your playlist?
Right now, it'd probably be the first 3 songs off of Live at the Ryman from Robert Earl Keen.
Oh,
So,
great.
because that's what's been in the truck lately.
All right. Another music ownership question, I guess, would be the way to frame it. Desert Island album. You got to pick one.
Meta Modern.
All right. Cool. Very cool.
If I had to
Solid.
listen to just that Sturgill album, it'd be okay.
Yeah, it's great. Dinner with one historical figure.
Probably Bob Wills.
Bob Wills. You know, we didn't. I feel like we should touch on that a little bit. Maybe we've got a couple minutes. Can you tell us a little bit about your connection to Bob Wills?
Yeah, so I say that I am basically a grandchild of a Playboy, because one of the guys that taught me how to play guitar and was a very prominent figure in my life was a Playboy. So what I've been trying to do is preserve that legacy, because I mean, you have Jason Roberts and the Playboys, and you have Asleep at the Wheel.
Right.
There's nobody in our generation that's going to go and try to spread that Western swing gospel, so to speak.
Right.
And so me and Micah have just been digging that old stuff and trying to breathe some life back into it. And,
Awesome.
you know,
Yeah.
pay our
That's-
respects.
I can't remember where I read that, but I read that somewhere that he was your, I don't know if it was your first guitar teacher, but one of your instructors, and that's super cool. So thanks for sharing that.
I still call him every once in a while, and he's 86 years old, and he's still playing guitar. Still practicing.
That's awesome.
Still practicing.
Yep.
It's like, it never ends, TJ. You'll be my age and still practicing.
That's a beautiful thing. TJ, ideal green room.
Okay.
What would be?
Green room.
Yep.
Ooh. John T. Forbes.
Yeah, I've heard stories. Never been in it, but yeah.
I'm just gonna tell you right now, it's John T. Forbes. It's like a
Can
little
you-
house.
Yeah. Why that one? Explain to us.
Well, first of all, the paraphernalia that's in there, and nothing, to talk about. It's just all those concert posters, man, from Wills to Willie to, it's
Everybody.
funny. I saw a Flatlanders one, and I sent it to Rory. I was like, "Here's your dad." Click, it's just like, that's probably the coolest. I haven't been in the Canes or the Billy Bobbles one yet, but the ones that I've been in,
Yeah.
John T. Forbes.
All right. Cool. First concert you went to, and then the first concert that you paid for.
First concert I went to was probably one of the big winter jams. And then the first concert I paid to see was Reed Southall.
Oh, nice.
I paid
Now South Hall.
$5 at 17 years old to see a very young Reed Southall.
That's a great deal.
Yeah.
From Chickasha to Goldsby to go see Reed Southall.
Nice. They put on a great show.
Mm-hmm.
It was funny because he was still like pre-Van days. Like he was.
Okay.
there
Oh, this was
like
super
10 people
early.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would have been one of their first ticketed shows. It sounds like.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. All right. That's cool. All right. And then the last question I have for you is tribute bands, yay or nay?
Hard question because I
It is
have
a
to
little bit
compete against them, right?
Right. Yeah.
I think you pay tribute without being a tribute band. So I like it when another artist will go do another artist and pay tribute. I
Right.
think that's cool. Like when Bonamassa goes and tries to be Muddy Waters, I'm into that. When Merle Haggard tries to be Bob Wills or Jimmy Rogers, I'm into that. It's hard for me to want to go see, Guns and Hoses. You know,
Right.
it's just
That's
there's
a
a
great
little
name.
disconnection, cringe thing for me there.
I will say, in defense of the tribute bands, there are some great names out there.
They are
They
some
do.
great
They have
names.
some great names.
Yeah.
But I agree with you.
Yes. Yeah. You're not alone. You're not alone.
All right. Are we ready for the finale question?
We are. We are.
Excited. Very excited.
All right, TJ. This is the most important question of the evening. It started on episode number 1, and now it is a requirement that we ask this. So, TJ, what is your favorite Little Debbie snack?
Zebra cake. I gotta go with the zebra cake. I'm a zebra cake guy.
Seems to be popular.
Is there a difference in zebra cakes and Christmas tree cakes?
I believe there is a slight difference, but I could
Slight
be
difference. One's got the holiday spirit.
thinking. Yeah, one got the holiday spirit, one doesn't.
Okay. All
That's
right.
it.
Yeah, we're just trying to get down to the bottom of all this. This is what the people want to know. So, all right, TJ. Go through this. If you follow TJ on all of his socials and engage in anything that he posts, like, comment, share his, gigs, his music, and things like that. With people that like that style of music, share it with your buddies. You know who likes what, wherever you stream your music, hit the little follow button and follow TJ over there. Whenever he is going to release new music, he'll probably ask you to pre-save it and all that kind of stuff.
Do it.
Just it doesn't cost anything. It just helps the algorithm, helps it build steam before it's released. That's all. It just helps everybody involved. So, all right, that's my public service announcement right there. How did I do, TJ? Is that okay?
Yeah, it's perfect.
Okay, cool.
We'll continue to work on it.
Yeah.
Go buy my things that I've written.
Yeah.
That's right. Please do.
Go pedal it.
Awesome. Well, hey, thanks so much, man. We appreciate it. And we'll be keeping our eyes out for your new stuff and listening to your stuff that you have out.